Yeah, that's what I've been talking about right here. No doubt. We got that vintage school.
After a long decade or more, we finally get the continuation, or maybe similar to Initial D. I think it's about goddamn time. I know the manga after Initial D, MF Ghost, really kind of put everything in the air. Like, would this be a continuation? Is it a spin-off? Because I know it's the same person who made Initial D, did MF Ghost. And for a lot of people who don't know about Initial D, well, just to kind of give you a brief rundown, it's pretty much like, it predates the Fast and Furious, it predates a lot of these racing popular franchise movies that we know today. Mainly the Fast and Furious, if you think about it in that perspective. But Initial D happens to be a cult classic in the 90s that went on from the 90s, and I think it stopped in the early 2000s, maybe 2013 or 2012, if I'm not mistaken. Coupled with some movies, OVAs, and stuff like that through the years. But the old animation is pretty much outdated, and I can kind of see why they would want to revamp it with OVAs and compilation movies of highlights of some of the great races. It's, if I'm not mistaken, it's a Tongay battle with pretty much the old school 86 versus a whole bunch of nice, JDM cars, spanking them on a downhill and showing a lot of good, pretty drift techniques. So I think Initial D, the first few stages was really good, and then it kind of took a little bit of a twist and a turn. And at the end, at this time, I believe the FRS came out, and the FRS was pretty much the successor to the A6, and that's what we have now. And I think now they're just calling the FRS, the VRZ, the A6, because it's pretty much the reincarnation of the Toyota Corolla A6. And now, after pretty much that debut of the car, I believe in 2013, coming to 2023 at the time of the recording, now we have MF Ghost. I had to see it again. I think I had seen it the first time a couple weeks back, and I definitely wanted everyone to see it, for people who don't know, and for people who do know, just to kind of get their take on it, and I wanted to get my take on it. So, yeah, man, Initial D, man, it's I feel like it's a continuation. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna call it what it is, man. It's a continuation. The art style's the same. It's pretty much still has that Initial D feel. Just after all these years now, we're going from obviously gas cars to now electric cars that can hang with the gas cars. And I think just from seeing in the original trailer that we're going to be seeing some pretty nifty cars, some pretty new characters, along with obviously some returning characters that might have stayed in the Kanto region from Initial D. I think they're looking for, what's his name? Takumi. He was the original guy who had the A6, that his dad Bunta gave him the pretty much GCA 22 VSTI. So we don't know. I've always felt like that story would always continue, just because it's the racing world. So I think with that just being said, it really made a good story to continue on going for days to come, times to come, eras to come, and to break a lot of ground. But seeing that, I guess they just stuck with the manga for a while, and then they wanted to kind of build up more of, I guess, fandom and popularity and stuff like that. Now they're actually releasing MF Ghost. It's on Crunchyroll. We don't know when it's going to air, but we know it's going to be this year, so that's going to be great. My thoughts for some of the alternate races would be maybe, and this is just my take, but would be maybe like the new NSX, the new Supra, the GR Corolla, just to kind of name a few, maybe a couple of European cars that are also rear-wheel drive, maybe like an Audi and like a Beamer. I hate to say this, but don't kill me for this if you're watching this Mitsubishi, but don't bring back no new Mitsubishi cars in this film, maybe some old school Mitsubishi cars, just because like they haven't really been, in my eyes, haven't really been like appealing as much. they're gonna have their civics, that's a given. They're gonna have maybe the newer Integra Type S. That's still to be seen. But for right now, I just think this is gonna be an introduction. For what we see, I think it's more so of people watching these races as to oppose of the initial D where people would stand around and some of these windy roads waiting for people to come down, kind of like that very old school feel. A little bit of a tidbit that we got in Tokyo Drift, if you guys ever seen the Fast and Furious Tokyo Drift. I feel like that Tokyo Drift paid a lot of homage to Initial D in some regard, with just the whole drifting aspect and inertia drift and stuff like that, and windy roads and 28 battles. So I think this is pretty much going to bring Initial D back to its glory. As they say, when one era ends, another one begins. And I think with the Fast saga coming to a close and abrupt, and having these spinoffs, it's good to have just soul car racing on a windy road for a lot of car enthusiasts, as myself and a few others. So, I'm just kind of giving you my take, my whole spiel about it, because I had to see this again so I could refresh it in my memory to give you guys my take on it. But I think it's gonna be interesting when it comes out. At the time of this recording, I hope to see it, maybe do a coverage on it, maybe some highlights. Get familiar with some of the characters. Again, I'm currently right now rewatching Initial D for this. That's how crazy it is, just because to see the animation of this and how it was in Initial D. Obviously, Initial D is outdated, like I said before, but to see it nice and polished and the colors pop, I think now we're at a point in this era and this year where we don't have to make it very much like an anime style with a 3D car animation where they could all blend in pretty well put together. I think we kind of got that during, Initial D. I think it was 4th or 5th stage, or maybe final stage, if I'm not mistaken. But for the first 2 stages, they weren't really the best animation quality. So coming to MF Ghost, crisp animation, great animation, Eurobeat. It's gonna give people the feels for people who watched initially for the first time back in the day when it first aired, to people who are like myself that got into it, to even a younger generation that's now getting into it. The soundtrack's gonna be there, just with obviously new artists and new music, so I'm happy for that. The cars are gonna be sick. I know the cars are gonna be sick. I know some of the modifications they're gonna have is gonna be dope. The courses are gonna be pretty interesting, and I think just the story within itself is gonna be pretty interesting or dynamic to see how the car culture is now. To see a lot's changed now. A lot has changed. We went from just all motor to now electric, and they're pretty much hanging with the big boys. And for a while, a lot of people weren't really feeling the electric scene, but now it's kind of almost getting its respect, if it will. So I think it's going to be an interesting dynamic, to say the least. So I'm really excited for that forefront. And that's one of the reasons why I just had to give you my take on it, man. MF Ghost, I'm going to say it like this: Initial D continuation part 2. I don't care if it's a spin-off or prequel or whatever they want to do, but to me, this is an Initial D continuation. This is the best Initial D continuation we're going to get. Ever since I think the first few mangas dropped years ago, everyone's been speculating it. I haven't really been keeping up with the manga myself, but just from seeing the trailer and everything like that, it just feels like a continuation of Initial D, and the stuff they're talking about is just so Initial D. It has me going back to, like I said, watching all the Initial Ds from the series to the OVAs and even to the movies and even to the live action movie, just because I really appreciated Initial D, me being a car enthusiast myself. I just love it. So, if you guys, agree, go ahead, put something in the comments down below. We can get a conversation started about Initial D or MF Ghost. Do you guys think it's a continuation, or do you think it's maybe a spin-off of Initial D with bringing back some of the old characters but telling a new tale, or what it could be? Just let me know in the comments down below. And if you like what I'm always doing on the channel every now and then, go ahead and subscribe. I'm definitely going to be giving you a little bit more consistent content. Just haven't had time, but I'm still working on it. Go ahead and hit that like button. Also, if you're a recurring viewer, go ahead and hit the subscribe button and like hit the bell for notifications so when I go up and give new content. I'm still working on a few tidbits with some of my good friends that we hope to kind of give you guys an interesting dynamic of some pretty interesting talk on my gaming channel. And on this channel, I'm going to try to get with some of them just to kind of get a conversation started. But until then, this is your boy Clash Masters, and I'm signing out. Until then, take care of yourself and be safe out there. Peace.